Okay, time to come back. Thank you. I love that hallelujah. Have you ever noticed the amazing effect of thank you? Of giving thanks. It's nice to receive thanks, isn't it? I mean, it can even influence you to do more of that which you're thankful for, or that which you've been thanked for. Should I be embarrassed to admit to you that I used to tell my children, if you want more stuff, more gifts from grandpa or your aunts, write a thank you note. But I want to talk about the amazing effect of giving thanks, of living from that place of thanksgiving. According to the law of attraction, focusing on gratitude brings more to be grateful for into your life. In Unity, we say our third principle, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Eric Butterworth says, such an attitude is part of the creative process. The grateful heart effects or creates appreciation, and that appreciation affects or influences the invisible substance, the very manna of heaven, to respond with more good in your life. We are entering a time dedicated to Thanksgiving, but with all of the hubbub of the holiday, we can forget the wonder of the quiet feeling of a grateful heart. Paul, in his first letter to the Thessalonians, writes, "Give thanks in all circumstances." Really? Not for all circumstances, but in all circumstances. Little prepositions can make big differences. In other words, whatever circumstances you find yourself in, good or bad, there is that within you, the potential of God in expression that is good, no matter what the circumstance. We need only to unveil that good. Plato, who lived, it seems, before time was even invented, 400 to 300 years BC, said this: "A grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts to itself great things." And we think this is New Thought, right? Plato was saying that in 400 BC. Again, Reverend Eric Butterworth, Unity minister who served in New York before his transition, in Spiritual Economics, he writes, "Your grateful heart draws to itself great things. Our most valuable asset is the conscious control of our own life, and giving thanks is an important state of consciousness because it keeps us receptive to and expressive of divine flow. If you are experiencing a loss or lack, you must recenter yourself in the awareness of the ever-present substance, again, like manna from heaven. And saying thank you is a most effective way. A heart that is always grateful is more than simply an expression of gratitude for things. And, says Butterworth, to pray for prosperity out of a sense of complaint or discouragement is to effectively compound the problem. The ungrateful heart, the discouraged, complaining, covetous level of thought will draw to itself limited things. When you feel grateful, you become great and eventually attract great things. We grow rich by thanksgiving, and we grow impoverished by losing the spirit of gratitude. I am so thankful the election is over.
Me too.
I listened carefully to Hillary's concession where she offered to work with Donald Trump and hopes he will be a successful president. I listened even more carefully to Trump's speech acknowledging his victory. He said, and I quote, "We owe Hillary a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country." And he pledged to every citizen that he will reach out, especially, said he, to those who did not support him, for guidance and help to work together to unify our country. Some of us felt we couldn't trust Hillary. Others, we couldn't trust Trump. But it is now, as it was in the beginning and ever will be, in God we trust. And we remember that good is the only presence and power in the universe. The hard work most everyone did to get through this election is accomplished. Pat yourself on the back. And if you need to, today at 2 p.m. Central Time is a day of healing and reconciliation. And I'm happy to help anyone that would like to get to that. You just Google it, it's online, and there's some wonderful events that are going to happen, presentations, music, singing. I am not thankful for the divisiveness the country and my own family has experienced during the election campaign, but I am thankful for the democratic process. I am certain that that process was born out of feelings of divisiveness of our forefathers. Everyone had an opinion, and the writers of the Constitution saw the value of honoring all voices rather than letting the one voice of an earthly king determine the law as to all. I am not thankful for war, but I am sincerely thankful for all veterans. I am not thankful for the protests over the result of the election that continued all week, probably are still continuing, but I am thankful for freedom of speech and assembly. We know there are certainly many places where people's emotions that need to be expressed for the health of the individual and that of the group are stifled for fear of losing their lives or their freedom. Nelson Mandela was grateful for what he did have in a prison cell. He said, "Prison itself is a tremendous education in the need for patience and perseverance. It is above all a test of one's commitment." And he wrote, "When a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace. I believe I have made that effort, and that is therefore why I will sleep for all eternity." I don't know what the angel known as Jana Christine considered her duty, but I know she wanted to make people laugh and help them love. Even in her last days, the Christ light shone bright and continues to shine through that cloak of invisibility. I am certainly not thankful that Jana was taken from her mother and all of us before her 30th birthday, but I do give thanks that I knew and know Jana's spirit, that all who know and knew her appreciate all life more, and especially the eternal life Jesus and Mandela spoke of, and we believe in gratitude. Being grateful in all circumstances, not for all circumstances, is the key to an abundant life. I'll never forget reading in a book called The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom about her experience in a German concentration camp. Now, Corrie was an amazing, forgiving person. As I recall, she and her family were imprisoned for hiding a Jewish family. Amazing as Corrie was, she was grateful for her sister and was inspired by her sister's gratitude. For example, there was a flea infestation in their dorm in the concentration camp. just eating them up. I guess we can imagine, on top of everything else, if you've ever had flea bites, it can drive you nuts. But her sister was grateful for the fleas. She had the presence of heart and mind to observe that the Nazi commandant entered their bunkhouse a lot less often for fear of flea bites. So they were spared some of the worst orders. Being thankful for the silver lining in whatever apparent cloud there is in our lives is a great way to live. Jesus was not thankful for lack of food in Matthew 14, verses 13 through 21. But he found something to be thankful for when he was told of only 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed 5,000 people. He gave thanks, and a miracle happened. Bible scholar Dr. George Lamza speculates that nearby merchants may have heard of Jesus' gathering and sent provisions. It matters not how the miracle happened. Something extraordinary kept happening when he was present. When Lazarus, who he loved and was dead, and there was an odor when Jesus entered the tomb, he found something to be thankful for: Lazarus' life, and a miracle happened. Lazarus represents the unconscious spiritual life in us that waits to be awakened. Jesus gave thanks to Spirit, and Lazarus rose from his dead state. How can we apply this to our lives today? Suppose you're underpaid at a job that you find boring. Eric Butterworth says, "Can you see that both the pay and the job are the activity of spirit manifesting in part? The way you bring more abundance into the job is finding your gratitude in it." It matters not to God if we are grateful. God is in the gratitude that we feel in all circumstances. The good in us that says thanks opens the channels for greater good to flow in. Giving thanks is an important state of consciousness which keeps us in an awareness of oneness with divine flow. If your purse seems empty, take it in your hands and bless it, giving thanks for what you do have. Be grateful from your reality of loving friends with faith for the divine order of everything that happens in your life. Be grateful for the now and what it holds for you. I went to Ed after Miss Kelly made her announcement last Sunday. And I said, "I don't want to think about when you're gone, you and Miss Kelly." He said, "Don't. Think about all the Sundays we're still here." Eric Butterworth tells of a man who was told by his doctor he had only 6 months to live. All those who heard were morose and sorry. "What are you going to do?" He said, "What I've always done, live with a grateful heart, one day at a time." 10 years later, he was doing the same. We all know people like this, I hope, because they help us know we have a choice how we live and transition into eternity when the time comes. There is a healing influence of a controlled life, sustained by an attitude of gratitude. The grateful heart attracts to it more good and radiates it outwardly, that good. Sometimes there is a healing in eternal rest, and the resting one can bring healing to we who are still experiencing earthly challenges, also known as opportunities. Take a moment now to engage in the experience of gratitude. Close your eyes and just feel grateful. Don't turn outward, casting about for things to give thanks for. Remember, it is not an emotional reaction to the blessings you can count. It is an energy you stir up within you that is causal. No conditions have to be met before you can feel grateful. Just feel grateful. Let the spiral of thanksgiving flood your whole being with its healing warmth. With our gratefulness of heart, we bless, which means to confer prosperity upon all the many things, experiences, and persons whose performances have such a profound influence on our lives. We bless the car we drive, or the bus or train we ride. We bless the weather and traffic. We bless our employer and our co-workers. Bless our place of business, our employment, or our retirement. Bless our investments and our cash flow. We bless our church home and family. We bless our relatives, friends, and neighbors. And finally, we bless our ability to sing out as we sing a song Jerry has selected for us.